I mean, you mentioned in our preamble that apartheid is a word perhaps alien, and the actual apartheid itself is alien to a lot of young children. How do you bring that down to their level, if you like?
The way I bring it down to their level is I just relate my own story. And I talk about the experience that I had when I was merely only 8 years old. And it's one that absolutely fundamentally changed my life. And it's a story about my mom and I going into the city of Durban where I lived and I was brought up. And we got into a bus, and my mom, who was diabetic, started feeling ill. And then we got off the bus and we were helped, and I was just 8 years old. And the only seat that she could sit on was one that was allocated to whites only. And so we got her to sit on that seat even though she was not white. And literally 2 minutes later, when the man who helped me ran to get help, and I was standing with my mom, as soon as she sat down, 2 minutes later, two policemen came, lifted her off the seat and threw her on the floor. And she knocked her head on the pavement, and she was unconscious. She slipped into a coma, and she was in the hospital for 2 months. And as an 8-year-old, that was my first baptism of fire in understanding exactly what the system of apartheid is. And so in telling that story and others, I get children to understand how awful the system was and how it was enforced by the law. It was done by the letter of the law, and policemen used the law to enforce the system. And they get to understand it.
And when they hear what you have to say, I mean, what kind of feedback are you getting from the kids? They understand the message?
Oh, they absolutely understand the message. It's amazing. You have to be there. I mean, I was at Lubbe Academy on Monday morning, and I spoke in the afternoon to a whole group of students. There was probably about 300 students, and the bell had gone for them to leave, to go home, and they didn't want to leave. They had so many questions to ask me about my experience, and they had so many concerns, and in fact the message had driven home so well, had got home so well, and fell on good ground, in that many students have told me via Twitter and other means that it's changed their life, and they're going to really look at how they live their lives and look at how they can achieve, understanding how privileged they are to have education and have homes and just have opportunities that I didn't have. And so it's working very, very well. And exactly the same happened at Castle Douglas yesterday. I mean, that was really, really amazing. The students responded so well. And what's even more interesting, in both Castle Douglas and Lubbe, I spent about an hour and a half talking. Both heads came to me afterwards and said they've never ever seen the students sitting for that long a time without getting restless. But these children were just sapping it up and, of course, getting the key messages.